Savannah Guthrie was well known as the face of the Today Show, but after her mother's shocking kidnapping, the world is getting to know her through the pain and agony she's enduring. Everybody's familiar with the story, but what Guthrie and her family are experiencing is just gut-wrenching. The incident left Savannah in a constant state of worry and tears. Speaking to the public via a video shared on Instagram, Guthrie said,
"We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help."
She then encouraged her fans to collaborate with the police and report any suspicious activity they feel might be connected to Nancy's disappearance. Following this horrible event, Guthrie took a step back from her job at Today. Unable to focus on work, the journalist dedicated herself to her family full-time. At the time of this decision, some insiders claimed that Guthrie may never return to Today. As one source told Status News, "There's no way Savannah's coming back. I can't imagine she would even want to." The same source, however, noted that Savannah's absence could be disastrous for Today, noting, "Savannah was always the glue on that show, and without that, this whole paradigm of our morning anchor team as a family, that connective tissue has just been ripped out." On the flip side, Jenna Bush Hager told Today viewers on March 5th, 2026,
"She has the intention to return to the show, even though it feels like the hardest thing to do."
This information came after Guthrie visited Studio 1A at Rockefeller Center in New York City that morning to meet with her colleagues across the studio and offices. After her mother was kidnapped, there was one person Guthrie was able to count on, her husband, Michael. In the wake of the tragedy, he did his best to provide support to his wife and children. The dedicated husband and father has traveled all over the United States, from Florida to Arizona to New York, in order to be where his family needed him at any given moment. Shortly after Nancy's shocking disappearance, he made a behind-the-scenes visit to the set of Today to privately thank his wife's colleagues for their well wishes. As a source close to Guthrie told Page 6, "It was a large group and he went around and thanked everyone and got a bunch of hugs." In the same report, the aforementioned insider noted that the employees of Today have been asking the Guthrie-Feldman family if they could help out by sending clothes, food, or arranging to watch their children. Given the amount of care displayed by Guthrie's circle, it was important for someone from the family to reach out. Being that the Today host had so much to deal with, Feldman decided to be the one to stand up. Savannah probably didn't have what you'd call the traditional American upbringing, maybe because she wasn't born in the U.S. Guthrie was born on December 27, 1971 in Melbourne, Australia, and she was just 2 years old when her family moved to Tucson, Arizona, where she spent most of her childhood. Having your entire life uprooted at such a young age sounds pretty difficult, but Guthrie wasn't old enough at the time to remember moving across the globe. However, that doesn't mean that being born in another country didn't have an impact on her life. As she told People magazine in 2020, "Growing up and knowing that I was born in Australia was always this interesting, exotic part of my history that I love.
This is the country where I was born. It's a part of my history that I always treasured."
Guthrie's childhood in Tucson may not have been as exotic as the land down under, but that doesn't mean it wasn't happy. She even got a head start in mixing it up with famous people, or at least one person who would grow up to be famous, as one of her high school classmates was Olympic runner and former NFL player Michael Bates. Guthrie's parents, Nancy and Charles, raised their 3 children while grounding them in the Baptist faith and focusing on their individual personalities. As Guthrie explained to Refinery 29 in 2017, "My parents put a lot of emphasis on who you are and who you are when no one is looking. This fundamental belief has pervaded Guthrie's life and has also played a role in how she raises her own children. Her parents always stressed that who you are is much more important than your physical appearance or how good you are at sports." Guthrie was particularly close to her father, as she described him on Today's website in 2017. "My father was a seemingly unlikely mix of qualities, always strong, sometimes terrifying, loyal to the end, and disarmingly gentle and tender when it counted. But it was her dad's integrity that had the biggest impact on his daughter. As she put it, his moral clarity was demanding and sometimes intimidating, but he tempered it at the moment you needed and least expected it with kindness and mercy." When Guthrie was just 16 years old, her father died of a heart attack. Up until that point, her mother Nancy had been a stay-at-home mom. Suddenly thrust into the harsh reality of supporting and raising 3 kids on her own, Nancy was able to get a job working in public relations for the University of Arizona, where Savannah and her sister Annie were lucky enough to attend tuition-free. Guthrie has admitted that she wasn't much of an overachiever in life until she had to be. As she told Refinery 29, "I wasn't much of a go-getter in my younger years. In high school, I was kind of a slacker. It was only in college college when I started taking journalism classes that the fire was lit and I really wanted to accomplish things. Before that, I was happy to hang out with my friends and listen to grunge music and wear my chunky heels. Guthrie reflected on that difficult time of her life in an open letter essay to her mother that she wrote for Good Housekeeping in 2017. As she shared, "I think about when Dad passed away so suddenly. I remember how we clung to each other for dear life in the years that followed. Your strength and selflessness in the face of that shock amazes me to this day." In 1993, Guthrie graduated with a journalism degree from the University of Arizona and then promptly moved to Butte, Montana, where she got her big break as an anchor on a local TV station. Unfortunately, though, the station closed down just 10 days later, and Guthrie found herself forced to head back home to Tucson without a job. But she then quickly landed a gig as a reporter and anchor in Columbia, Missouri. She worked there for the next 2 years with a focus on legal journalism that would earn her the Excellence in Legal Journalism Award from the Missouri Bar. In 1995, Guthrie was offered a job at an NBC affiliate in Tucson, where she thrived for 5 years until getting an offer from a Washington, D.C. affiliate in 2000 that would see her cover the 9/11 attacks and other major news stories of the time. But it was at this point that she decided to make a big change and pursue a career in law. In 2002, after receiving the highest score on the Arizona bar, she joined a D.C. law firm and specialized in white-collar criminal defense for a year. Based on her backstory, it's clear that Savannah Guthrie is a bit of a restless spirit. Just a few months before starting a prestigious job as a law clerk for a federal judge, she decided to reverse a previous big decision as she quit her legal career to return to journalism. As she recalled during a commencement speech to the 2019 class of George Washington University, "It wasn't my dream. What I really wanted was to go back to my roots in journalism. I still had that nagging hope that one day I could really make it in television news." After working as a court TV correspondent from 2004 to 2006, Guthrie found herself in the role of NBC News legal correspondent. After a high-profile interview with Sarah Palin, she was offered the role of NBC's White House correspondent in December of 2008. Her enigmatic personality and comfort in front of the camera caught the eye of higher-ups at NBC who were contending with Ann Curry's recent controversial departure as co-host of the morning program. After many guest appearances on Today, Guthrie was officially offered the role of co-host in 2012, and she's been with the show ever since. Joining Today was a big moment in Guthrie's career, but it was also bittersweet, as it was a turbulent time for the show. She was brought on as a replacement for Ann Curry, who was unceremoniously and unexpectedly booted from the position in 2012. As Curry recalled to Elle magazine in 2020, "I still don't really understand why I was replaced. I know I did nothing wrong. I know I was good at my job." When Guthrie took over the co-hosting gig, NBC seemed to want to draw as little attention as possible to the switch, and her debut was accordingly met with very little fanfare. The entire situation was tense, and Guthrie wasn't even sure if she wanted to accept the position when it was offered to her. As she told the New York Times in 2020, "Anyone would dream to get to host the Today Show one day, but not like that. I knew it was not a good situation, and potentially it'd be the end of my career." She added, "When my boss asked me, 'Would you want to do this job?' I said, 'I don't know.' Not because I was being coy. I truly didn't know. I wondered if I do this, and if it's such a controversy, it would be so easy to fail and never work in this business again." Although Guthrie got the family of her dreams in her 40s, there's more to the story than you might think. Following the birth of Vale in 2014, she hoped to welcome another baby to the family. However, she and Michael found that getting pregnant a second time was anything but easy. Guthrie opened up about this struggle with Good Housekeeping, saying, "I stopped even letting myself hope or believe I could get pregnant because the years were getting on. It wasn't that I thought it was impossible, I just thought it wasn't likely." These concerns were only exacerbated by a tragic miscarriage that made Guthrie doubt she would ever have another baby again. Luckily, after several intense conversations with her husband, she began to research everything there is to know about IVF. The couple ultimately decided that the procedure was right for them, and they celebrated the arrival of Charlie in 2016. Reflecting on her second pregnancy in an interview with Health, Guthrie revealed, "I always say Charlie was like the last egg out. He really was, and we're so blessed." Guthrie and her husband were obviously thrilled to welcome 2 children into their household. However, when it came time to actually raise their brood, the couple found that they did not agree on everything. Initially, the main source of friction was religion, thanks to the differences between Guthrie's Christian faith and Feldman's Jewish beliefs. This meant the couple had to learn how to navigate the ins and outs of raising their children in an interfaith household. Chatting about this challenge to Drew and Jonathan, Guthrie admitted, "We know that difficult questions may be coming, but we're committed to raising them with full knowledge of their backgrounds. We hope as they get older, the kids will be inquisitive people of faith." So far, this has helped Vale and Charlie develop an understanding of each faith. As Guthrie said, "We celebrate all holidays. We always go to Christmas Eve service, and the kids take part in the Christmas play at church." As for her kids' relationship with Judaism, Feldman has done a solid job of teaching them about the religion. Guthrie revealed that they light Hanukkah candles and teach them prayers. Guthrie has long credited her faith for guiding her through life and helping her make sense of the world. During a conversation about faith with her Today co-anchors, she brought up the Charleston church shooting that occurred in 2015 and how she'd witnessed some of the survivors forgive the shooter afterwards and sing Amazing Grace together. She said,
"And when I see something like that, I know I've just glimpsed God."
So it comes as no surprise that when Guthrie was approached with the possibility of writing a book about her religious experience, she jumped at the chance. Speaking with Today.com, she said, "I wasn't sure there would be a book at the end of it, but I knew that it would be a really important path and journey to take." Guthrie started writing, and before long, she had penned the manuscript for a collection of essays titled, "Mostly What God Does Is Love You." She said, "That sentence always hit me, and I loved it because I think so many of us, particularly if you do come from any kind of faith background, you may be asking yourself, what does God think of me?" Calling her book a gentle call to be loved, Guthrie encouraged people of different backgrounds to give it a read. After the book was published in 2024, it topped the New York Times bestseller list under the category of advice, how-to, and miscellaneous.